One day after federal agents unsealed a 14-count indictment against the founder of Universal Canine, a dog training facility on the city's north side, we're getting an up-close look at how some of these dogs are getting a new purpose. Eyewitness News reporter Aaron Wright caught up with 3 of the 26 dogs seized from that facility who were chosen by the TSA and the Department of Defense.
It's a brand new world, but Lexi and Rambo are making it their home.
Hey, yes.
2 weeks ago, these dogs were seized by the FBI. Thanks to San Antonio Animal Care Services, they're now getting a second chance to become working dogs.
So we went down, took a look at the dogs, and we actually brought 7 back originally. Lexi and Rambo are the 2 that showed the most potential.
Major Matthew Kowalski commands the 341st Training Squadron at Lackland Air Force Base.
It is the hub of 4-legged military working dog training from untrained to military asset.
At the Department of Defense Working Dog School, it takes about 120 working days to get a dog ready for field work.
You've got your detection capability, finding bombs, and finding drugs. So those are the 2 sides of the coin there.
Observing the dog sniffing behavior, ensuring that the dog is actively working. He's going to hup the dog on one side or the other and then move on around, and he would clear this as an individual. There's a cabinet here, so these are the awareness that the handlers have to have.
A third dog named Cora is getting ready to work for the TSA. About 300 dogs a year go through facilities like this one, modeled after Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport.
So the more we can replicate their actual operational environment in their initial training, the better they are suited when they hit the ground out there as we deploy them across the nation.
The 3 dogs were seized when Universal Canine was raided earlier this month. Founder Bradley Croft is facing 8 counts of fraud, 4 counts of identity theft, and 2 counts of money laundering. Training these dogs isn't cheap, so getting them from ACS means real savings for the government.
These dogs at the end, when I ship dogs out to the field, are expensive assets. So being able to work with ACS and get dogs basically for free to start lowers that end cost.
Not every dog makes it to full-time field work, but they're always welcome to stay at Lackland.
Because we got to have good teachers, and our good teachers are 4-legged.
Yes. Yee!
Aaron Wright, KINS 5 Eyewitness News.